All right. Well, welcome back to the Unapologetic Podcast. I'm Brandt Merritt.
I'm Jonathon Woodyard.
And we are recording this Maundy Thursday,
Yeah.
Day before Good Friday, a few days before Easter. And it's a long weekend for us. It's kind of one of the nice things we do here is stretch out the Easter weekend to help everyone focus on the reason for the season, I guess would be the way to put it. But yeah, we got Easter coming up this weekend, and I know we're going to chat a little just what that means, what we've got going on, what you've got going on for the weekend.
Well, for the weekend, I mean, we were thinking 4-day weekend. Do we get out of here? We were thinking about going to Indiana. My brother pastors a church in Anderson, Indiana. So if you're a listener and you ever go to Anderson, Indiana, we've got you have a friend there now too.
We both have a friend there now. Yeah.
So episode or two ago, we had Scott Moats, our CFO, on, who's now right now I think he's like the COO of Anderson University.
President-elect.
President-elect. So he's there, but we were going to go over and see my brother who pastors a church there and go to church with them and celebrate the resurrection. And so we're not doing that. So we're going to stay here for 4 days. We're going to do some yard work. And this is, it's springtime. This is when things come to life. So that's a great time for us to think about Easter, even thinking about going down to like the Fantastic Caverns. And then I thought, man, it's kind of silly, but we emerge out of the cavern, out of the tomb, and thinking about the resurrection, helping our kids think about it. But man, what a season! I was thinking, talking about Easter, the resurrection of Jesus, and if you think about that, and I'm getting this from Tim Keller. Tim Keller passed away. Gosh, how long ago? A couple of years now? He passed away.
Yeah, it was a couple of years ago because remember Ryan Griffith was here and he was close with
so
Tim
Keller,
when that happened.
Founder of one of the founders of the Gospel Coalition, but longtime pastor in New York City, prolific author, just a really helpful kind of voice in the Christian world for so long, and had cancer and was battling cancer. But just remember watching him talk about him and his wife weeping, talking about, just kind of overwhelmed with the bigness of it all, the shortness of life, and he's approaching the end. But he just thought about the resurrection. He talked about the resurrection. If that's true, if the resurrection is true, if Jesus got up, if he really was dead and started to breathe and got up and the stone rolls away and he comes out of the tomb, then everything's going to be okay. No matter what's going on in your life right now, doesn't mitigate the reality of pain and suffering in the moment. Doesn't mean things aren't hard. Doesn't mean things don't hurt. But it does mean ultimately, it's going to be okay. If you're a Christian, it's going to be okay because Jesus has defeated your greatest enemy, death. He's defeated the grave. He's going to return. He's going to set up a kingdom that has no curse, and so things are going to be okay. So that's what we're celebrating is Jesus is alive. He's making all things new. He's putting things back together. And so at the end of the day, things are going to be okay. And what a message we have. We don't serve a dead deity,
right?
But a living Savior. So Easter, if there is no Easter, there's no point in
we are of all people most to be pitied.
Most to be pitied. That's what Paul says.
Yeah.
Pitied. So
it's been interesting. We both have kids similar ages, and I think one of the things as I've gotten older and then now trying to raise our kids, Christmas is such a thing. I mean, it feels like the holiday culturally throughout the year, but even as, growing up semi in the church and then, in high school really becoming a Christian, Christmas was it. But I think as I've gotten older, it's like, no, Easter is that's the Super Bowl of the Christian religion. And, we put so much effort and everything into Christmas and we've really tried to, how much can we replicate and even, overemphasize Easter for our kids and for ourselves too, because it's easy to get caught up in all the exciting things happening about Christmas, which is still a great holiday for the Christian faith.
And also essential, right? If there's no
Jesus
incarnation, and there's no death, and there's no resurrection, but we've overemphasized one at the expense of the other, and we shouldn't do that.
Yeah, just how easily it can get lost. We were just on a call with one of our consulting firms right before this, and they were asking about what's going on. I was like, we're actually starting a long weekend. We're closed tomorrow and through Monday, and they're like, well, what's tomorrow? Like, well, tomorrow's Good Friday. And we're shutting down, and just the rest of the world doesn't really shut down
Right.
for this, like maybe it does for Christmas.
Well, they
and
shut
other
down for a little
things.
bit and go buy some Easter
Right.
eggs and hunt Easter eggs, but
Yeah.
and celebrate some bunny hopping around.
Right.
And we're like, and I don't even know the history of the bunny. Somebody can Google the history of it, but
I don't know either.
But for Christians, it's like this isn't about Easter eggs. This is about a resurrected Messiah,
Yeah.
and all the implications there.
We do have a fun tradition that our girls still love, and it does involve Easter eggs, but it's the plastic Easter eggs,
Sure.
and we fill 12 of them with some symbol of the Easter story, Holy Week
Yeah.
story. So there's one's got a little palm frond, one's got coins for Judas and his betrayal, one has a nail, I think for Good Friday, and then I can't remember what the tomb is. It might be the rock when the stones rolled away from the
Sure.
tomb.
Yeah.
But we read through those with the scripture, and we were doing it when they were little, but they still like it. That's a fun little
Right.
Easter
That's
tradition. And we'll celebrate here this weekend. We're not really going anywhere except to see my in-laws over the weekend. And be
Well,
at the
and here at
church.
SBU, I mean, something we did this year. I don't know that it's been a tradition, but I mean, we had some of our faculty and students write some reflections.
It was great.
Reflections on Easter. So just kind of daily devotions. This week we shared internally on our portal for people to go. I don't know if we put that.
We sent it to
public?
prospective students.
Okay.
We sent it to alumni.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it's a good point. I can still post it even on some of our social accounts this weekend because there's still some relevant things for
That's good.
Good Friday. Well, so Easter, great time of celebration, means a long weekend for us. This will publish on Tuesday when we're back on campus. But we just wanted to take today to just hit some highlights on campus. There's not really a special guest or a special topic
you're
like
special.
well, thank you. And we're both special in our own way.
In Jesus'
And
eyes.
that's
Jesus' eyes.
true.
Yeah.
We don't have an additional special guest
Right.
other than the two of
Right.
us who are
Yeah.
already here. But yeah, there's just a lot of things happening on campus, and it's good just to take a step back and run through some things that are people might be interested in. So in my world, I mean, the headline for us that takes up almost all my attention is getting students here. So it's enrollment, it's recruiting, it's getting students through the application process, not just for the Bolivar main campus, but for our graduate programs and online and other things. But on Bolivar in particular, we started a goal about a month ago to get 50 deposits over about a 4-week span. And so deposits, if you aren't familiar with the process, students apply, they get admitted, and then a deposit kind of seals their spot for the fall semester. And that's kind of really how we track how many students we think are going to come next fall. And we blew that competition out of the water. We wanted 50. We got, I think, about 58. And it was a stretch goal to get 50 over 4 weeks this time of year.
Yeah.
And we are now running, I think when I checked this afternoon, 72 deposits ahead of where we were last year.
That's great.
At this time. And last year being our biggest freshman class in, I think, 4 years.
Right.
So just exciting to see those trends. I keep saying all the time, I don't want to count any of those chickens
They still
until
have to
they
get here. So it's
in the
not merely
fall.
about deposit, matriculation.
And we are
You're gonna
working
see-
really hard with families to make sure that they're feeling taken care of from financial aid standpoint to orientation to getting housing and their schedules. So there's a lot of work that we're doing, not just to get more students to commit for the fall, but to really take care of the families that are coming. So our admissions staff is doing a great job. We have some amazing students coming already secured for this fall, committed for this fall. So just that feels good to sort of see those trends continue of hopefully even bigger incoming class next year. Also, even some of our new graduate programs, the STEM programs, we brought in a first real group of students this previous 8 weeks, just under 10. We should be at least double that, if not more, in a May start. We'll have more starting over the summer. So those are master's programs in data science, artificial intelligence, information technology that target any student, but that really target an international audience, and then also give some of our students who come to Bolivar a chance for a 4+1. So you could come here, get a degree in computer science, stay an extra year, and have your master's in artificial intelligence when you graduate. So it really opens some new doors that we've not had before for both undergraduate students and for graduate students. And those are looking strong. And then I'm also excited about our Doctor of Education program will be fully online this fall. And we're seeing a good number of applications for that program. So that's sorry, go ahead.
The doctoral program, when we hear for the Doctor of Education, what's it take for somebody to complete that? How long of a program is that?
You would ask me. I want to say it's 36, but I don't think that's right. I think it might be like 35. But it's under I'll look it up while we're talking,
Well, that's okay.
and I'll tell
I
you in
didn't
a
know if
minute.
you know off the top of your head.
Well,
It's
the
not a
masters
1
are
year. I mean, it's a
36.
doctoral program, so we know it's not a year long.
Right.
So it'll take you 2 to 3 years to complete that. I mean, you have to go through coursework. You have to do your dissertation research. You got to submit. Then you have to, the writing of the dissertation takes some time. But it's something, and I particularly raised that question or that issue because I've just been so impressed with historically the strength of our education department here, and to see the people graduating and going into our public schools around here to hear, teachers at Bolivar High School, Bolivar Middle School, even one of the principals that's in our Sunday school class, graduate of SBU. And so just the leadership in our public school system in this area, just the strong representation of SBU in the classroom.
Our fingerprints are on so many leaders in the Southwest Missouri region, not just at the doctoral level, but master's level. And we have specialist degrees. It's 30 hours, by the way, 30 credit hours for our Doctor of Education.
30 credit hours, but then you have to write your dissertation. So you do is that 30 seated hours in the dissertation phase?
It says 30 credit hours, so might be part of it.
Sometimes the dissertation seminar is part of that, and then whatever. But so a strong program, but not only at the doctoral level, master's level, even our undergraduate students who are majoring in education, just reaching into all, even Polk County Christian School, so not even public education, but private education.
Yep.
SBU's got a strong presence. It's pretty cool.
And then our Springfield campus is, might be full in the fall with nursing students.
So they're
still accepting applications, and it may turn into a wait list. And so anyone who's considering that, certainly we're encouraging them to send applications in. And a lot of those programs, both the ASN program, the radiography program, are into BSN. There's some prerequisites that some students have to take to get into it. So even if maybe you can't jump into the ASN nursing specific courses in the fall, there are prerequisites through our health sciences program that students can start to take. So that program with the physical therapy moving to the Springfield campus, there's a lot of growth happening down in Springfield as well. So just encouraging from an enrollment standpoint. A lot of positive there.
Well, I'm glad you're encouraged in your world. Keep going. It never stops. Your world never stops, right? You get, I think people don't understand. I was talking with a guy one time. I was at a enrollment conference back when I was doing enrollment at Bethlehem, and I was in one of the sessions, a breakout session, listening to a guy give a talk on enrollment, and he had made the comment that it used to be that enrollment and people in the enrollment world, you'd have a cycle where you'd go through the cycle, then you'd take the summer off, rest, and then get ready. He said, but that's long gone. You go from one cycle, that's over. We've got the next cycle. There's no stopping. So your world is just constant churning.
Well, if you think of a school like, they're in the news for a lot of the wrong reasons right now, but pick a Harvard or a really exclusive school. They have a hard cutoff because they only have so many seats, and you have application deadline. They fill their class because there's always tens of thousands of students behind them who would take a spot. So they don't have to admit anyone through the summer. We are a university that's admitting students through the summer. Someone can graduate from an associate's program at OTC in May and apply to come to us in July for this next fall. So to your point, it doesn't ever stop, especially now that we have online programs that start every 8 weeks. We have a never-ending cycle for that as well. But it is encouraging. And I wasn't specific on numbers. I just thought of this. So if I said we're 72 up from this point last year, we have 257 deposited students, freshmen and transfers for next fall, which is 72 than we had this time last year.
More than 72, that's great.
So
well
good
done.
Stuff. Yeah.
Keep chugging along.
We're chugging. We'll keep chugging. Student life world. There's
there's always things going on. But right now, student life world, really we've shifted. There are events going on. We just had a big one 2 nights ago. I'm still feeling the effects of it because I can barely walk. But I do a thing here called The Battle, and the students, Res Life runs it, gather. We've got this gorgeous property, lots of open space out here, grass and trees, and it's a big water gun fight.
Yeah.
It's a few hundred people running around in the dark. Students are trying to collect glow sticks, and they're different colored glow sticks, get them back to a collection point, and they're trying to win points for their specific dorm. And you have staff, faculty, and families running around with water guns. And if you get hit with water, you have to go to jail under here over our bell tower, and you're there, and for every 10 minutes we let everybody out. But just a fun event. It's competition, healthy competition. Dr. Melson's out there running. He shouldn't be running on his knee.
Right.
He's supposed to be at the collection point.
We probably shouldn't be running.
We probably
either,
shouldn't be.
But
but
were.
we're chasing people around with a golf cart or running. I shouldn't have been running because I was hurting at the end of the night. But yeah, just a lot of fun. So things like that going on, some big events that kind of close out the year. Mazarkian's coming up. It's an offsite. We partner with SOAR Aviation Mission here in town. This kind of missionary aviation ministry is really cool. I mean, they just flying missionaries to different places, hard to reach places. But they have an airplane hangar out at our little airport here in Bolivar. And so we use their hangar for this big dance that people go to, and it's off-site, and students love it. So they actually set up their airplane. They bring a model,
it's
this
pretty cool
big
looking
little airplane that's sitting in the Union, sits there for a week or so just to advertise the Mazarkian that's coming up. So you've got things like that. But really for us, it's getting ready for commencement. A lot of friends hanging out because they're getting ready to say goodbye to each other. A lot of effort into planning housing for next year. A lot of students right now, they're filling out housing applications. Where are we going to live? So a lot of that stuff is going on in student life right now. A lot of looking forward. We just actually sat down, a couple of my team members and I sat down and started to plan our day away. We do a kind of staff or a leadership day away, May 1st, where we get off site and we start to talk about next year. What's our focus? What are we doing? What do we need to bring? What's going to bring the energy? How are we going to invest in students? It's going to move the needle, the ball down the field, so to speak, in terms of student life, the student experience. So doing a lot of that, and we're also doing some hiring right now. We're trying to figure out, because our campus pastor is moving on. And so we are thinking, we had to restructure. And so we're hiring 2 associate directors of residence life who are going to be part oversee dorms and then picking up some of the discipleship responsibilities that Stedman have. So a lot of those things that are going on that are trying to get us ready for next year, because this year really, 3 more weeks or so, and we're landing the plane.
It's pretty much spent.
So we really need to start focusing on the details for Welcome Week that's coming up in August. That'll be on top of us. So there's so many logistics. We need to think about the events, the schedule, the calendar, who's in what seat, what's our focus going into next year. We really don't have a ton of time to do that in the summer because people scatter in the summer. There's different places people go, vacations, things like that. But we also have camps and conferences in the summer that people know. If you know SBU, you know for years and years we've hosted camps and conferences here.
Well, that's how so many people first time ever on campus was as a 6th grader for summer camp. Yeah.
And so last year we didn't have that many, I think 4. This year we've got 9. There's around 5,000 or so kids that are going to come through here for summer camps, which just means there's things to do. So we've got to kind of make the best use of this time to really get ready for next year. So those are some of the things that are going on student.
Well, and one of the big pieces of that, and that you'll have an even bigger hand in next year, is mapping out who's coming in for chapel, which is just a huge, it's an opportunity. I look at it from a couple different angles. It's just a heartbeat of campus for worship,
that's right,
for teaching, and really just cementing what we believe and how we want to view the Christian faith through our worldview. But it's another piece for even some prominent outside folks to be exposed to SBU and know what we're about and get to be on campus. And so as you've been building through some of the chapel piece, what does that start to look like?
So we're very excited about chapel. Right now at SBU, chapel's required. You have to go to 75% of the chapels. But we really, and Dr. Melson uses this language, we do require chapel, but we want chapel to be something that's desired. Mm-hmm. We want you to want to be there. And so we try to make sure that it's a quality event 2 times a week, Monday and Wednesday. And by the way, if you're listening, anybody's invited. You can come and sit in chapel and sing and worship and hear the word.
Watch it live
stream. Yep, on our YouTube channel. So it's there. So we're, and really that's a culture setter for the institution. I mean, just in terms of who we are. the worldview that's championed, the gospel that's clear and proclaimed. So when we think about next year, we're excited. We want to focus on mission and evangelism. Missions and evangelism, not the same thing. Evangelism, sharing the gospel. When we think about missions, we're thinking about cross-culture type of work around the world, which SBU has been part of for a long time through our Center for Global Connections. But thinking through, how do we keep that theme in front of our students? Doesn't mean everybody that comes is going to speak specifically about missions. Doesn't mean that every chapel speaker is like mandated. You have to preach on global missions, but we know that that's going to be a big part of what we do. And so towards that end, you've got somebody like a Paul Chitwood who's coming in. Paul Chitwood is the president of the International Mission Board. So the International Mission Board is the international mission agency of the Southern Baptist Convention. And we've got several thousand missionaries around the world trying to tell people about Jesus and plant churches. And so we're bringing, so it's pretty cool to have somebody like Paul Chitwood, who is from Kentucky. I just want to throw that in there, but he's coming. And looking forward to having him on campus. But just to keep that missions emphasis in front of us. But other than him, you also have the president of the Southern Baptist Convention. So he's coming, Clint Presley. So every 2 years we elect a president of the SBC, and Clint's the president right now. And what's really cool is when you think about missions and evangelism, why does the Southern Baptist Convention exist? It's a collection of 45,000 or so churches. Why do those churches partner together? Well, in order to get the gospel to the nations here in the United States, yes, but also around the world. Yeah. And so Clint's going to be here and kind of encourages them from the Bible. Then you've got somebody like Chandler Snyder. Chandler is the vice president of I can't remember the last title. He's one of the vice presidents. He's one of my best friends in the world, but his title has changed several times. But he's at Southwestern Seminary in Fort Worth, Texas. But Chandler's a missionary. Him and his wife Kelly, good friends of mine and Gina's. We were in college ministry to them together for a long time. Taylor Worley, our director of campus experience, knows him really well. We all went to church together years ago. But Chandler and Kelly were missionaries for a decade. They were in Madagascar. They were in South Africa. They were in different places outside the United States. And now Chandler is serving at Southwestern Seminary, teaches missions there, doing his PhD there. So he's another guy we're going to be on campus. So excited just to see the Southern Baptist Convention president, the president of the IMB, the vice president of Southwestern, who was a former missionary. We're also going to do something, a lot of people may not know this, but Corey O'Grady, who runs our bookstore, was on the mission field, pastoring overseas. Now he runs our bookstore here on campus, and he and I, later in the fall, you have, and I can't remember the exact date off the top of my head, but it's the National Day of Prayer for the Persecuted Church. It's the day of prayer for the persecuted church that the Southern Baptist Convention sets aside. And so he and I are going to get up and do a kind of a panel discussion and talk about the need for missions overseas. We're going to talk about what's the difference between unengaged and unreached. Those are different terms in missiology. Why are we so concerned to get the gospel to the nations, that sort of thing. So lots of things like that. There are other people, some of our own people, Matt Kimbrough, myself, Taylor Worley, Jacob Banks, Dr. Melson obviously will be on stage preaching. So just a lot of things. Again, that's a culture setter. So you're going to hear that idea of mission trumpeted throughout the semester from that stage, pointing people to Jesus, the need to tell others about Jesus, and something we're serious about here.
Yeah.
So excited about chapel.
Yeah, and for us not having the last couple of years, we've seen an elevation, just the chapel experience. But I know even those that have been here longer from the worship side and even just who we bring in, it's, I think, a great gift to our students to be able to be exposed to some of this. Somewhat related, the other thing we're going to talk about is previewing Southern Baptist Convention. We'll be there June 7th through 10th, I think, in Dallas.
Yes, it's June the 7th through 10th. Now, to clarify, I said Southern Baptist Convention a lot. You said we're going to be at the Southern Baptist Convention
annual meeting.
At the annual meeting, right. So the Southern Baptist Convention is a convention of churches, and those churches meet.
They host a convention.
Well, they host a meeting. Yes, they do. And that legally, by the way, that's the only time the convention actually exists as an entity. So when those churches send their messengers, their representatives to that annual meeting, then the Southern Baptist Convention is called into order.
Convenes.
It convenes.
That's right.
It convenes as a convention. And then we handle it's a big business meeting.
It is.
It's a family reunion.
Which means everybody gets along.
Right. At your family reunions, everybody loves every uncle and aunt and cousin. But that's what it is. So you got your crazy uncles there and your crazy aunts, but you also have your really wise grandfathers and everybody in between. So you're there. It's a big business meeting. We discuss the business of the convention. How are we spending our budget? How are we prioritizing mission? What are the theological issues we need to discuss? And a lot of people see the debates and all that stuff, but a lot of that stuff is just part of it. And it's part of us doing business together as such a diverse body. But we walk away and hopefully we keep the main thing, which is reaching people for Jesus and teaching them to observe all that he commanded, which means we have to debate certain things, and I don't get too up in arms about those things, but that's part of it. So while we're there, one of the things that we do as different entities do is they have different gatherings. So Southwestern Seminary or Southern Seminary or Midwestern or us, we have gatherings where we talk to friends and alumni and just give them updates about the school. And those are hosted at various places at various times while everybody's at the convention. But what we wanted to do this year was not only host a friends and alumni event where we invite people for refreshments, desserts, and then to hear from the president updates of what's going on at the school, exciting things, probably I would say the master plan, that sort of thing we'll talk about. But before that, we thought, man, it would probably be helpful if we kind of take a step back and think through this moment in higher education, Christian higher education, and just talk about the importance of it. This year at the Missouri Baptist Convention, we passed a resolution reaffirming and recommitting ourselves as Missouri Baptists to prioritize, support our Missouri Baptist institutions of higher learning. So Hannibal LaGrange, Missouri Baptist University, and us, Southwest Baptist University. So we want to just kind of step into that conversation some more and say, hey, why is it important for Southern Baptists to continue to speak into the world of Christian higher education? So to do that, we're going to partner with Carson Newman University out of Tennessee and have Dr. John Aiken. So John's the son of Danny Aiken, who's the president of Southeastern, and John Aiken is now the vice president of campus ministries there at Carson Newman. So get John on a stage, get David Dockery, so president of Southwestern, longtime statesman of Southern Baptist, and is well known in the world of Christian higher education, published a ton in that arena. On top of that, we'll have Dr. Jason Dusing. So he's the provost at Midwestern Seminary. He's going to join us, a church historian, Baptist historian. Really excited to engage him on some of the history pieces. It's him and Dockery both will be able to talk pretty intelligently about just the history that Southern Baptists have had in that higher education space. And then Dr. Melson, our own president, being on that panel to talk about higher ed in general. I mean, he's just so in tune with what's going on across the board of higher ed. So looking forward to his participation, and I'll moderate it. And I think we're looking to make that a podcast.
That's going to be the plan. We want to try to record it.
We have to record it and get it on. We'll figure all that out. But looking forward to sitting down and having that discussion, because we do believe that there is a place for Christian higher education. It is important, and Southern Baptists should continue to lean in to that space. Yeah,
and Southern Baptists do have, every denomination or group of churches has a different flavor of how they've done higher education. You have some like PCA has sponsored some colleges like Covenant College, and I think it was Calvin's Reformed.
Creek or something like that, CREC.
And then Assemblies of God has got some universities across the country and others, but the Southern Baptists have a number of universities across the country that are not just in name, but closely aligned with and sponsored. And
a lot of people wouldn't know about them. A lot of people know about the seminaries, right? Oh, you've got Southern Seminary or Southeastern Seminary or New Orleans, or 6 seminaries, but there's a lot of Southern Baptist affiliated, particularly at the state levels. University type of education that we think is important.
Yeah, and trying to get that panel to cast the vision. It's not just getting degrees. I think you and I would both feel the same way. There's a particular thing that we do at a Christian college that we think ought to happen at a Christian college that's beyond just awarding degrees for career fields that's going to get somebody a job. There's specific ways that looks like as a Christian university.
Yeah. We certainly want people to get jobs.
Yeah.
But we want more than that.
Yeah. Like that has to happen. And then being a kind of person that can just thrive and make a difference in the world too.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm looking forward to that conversation and thinking about, for Christian higher education, it's not a Christian education is not you go to school and you do one thing in the classroom and then you go to your Bible study in your dorm, and that's a Christian education. You're on a campus that has Christianity alongside of the curriculum. Mm-hmm. So no, we want to talk about an integrated whole. Like this is not an education with Christianity on the side. We believe that there's a place for a explicitly, demonstrably Christian education, education from an unapologetic Christian worldview.
And having us partnering and at this sort of level, I think is great too, because it can easily turn into the national conversation, demographic cliff, the pie is shrinking. We all need to be competing for a smaller number of students. At some level, yes, we're trying to get students to come to SBU in our world more than maybe we want to go to Carson Newman. But baseline, we want Christian higher education to thrive and flourish across the country. And this is an opportunity to kind of just visually show that from a seminary down to a 4-year traditional university level. We're all in this together at a real level at the Christian higher ed market and in the Southern Baptist higher ed market too. So I think that'll just be a nice visual and a great way to show how we can partner to solve some of these big challenges that we're all facing.
Yeah, looking forward to it. It'll be fun.
So yeah, that's kind of a rundown of just stuff that's happening. It's a busy time of year. Mm-hmm. It's a race to the finish line for our students. I know they're looking forward to graduation and semester being done, but also wanted to get as much fun in with their friends as they can.
Yeah, that's right.
So looking forward to that. Anything else?
I don't think so, unless we want to talk about ethics. I taught ethics this morning, but I'm not sure we want to dive into that. It was fun. We were talking about whether or not it's ever right to lie. And most of the class spent I put them in small groups. They spent most of the time trying to I asked them to define a lie. And most of them couldn't get past that part because there's disagreement. So
about what a lie is.
Yeah, anyway, it was great.
Well, there's a taste of what our students get to wrestle with. All right. Well, happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter. He is risen indeed. And same to all you listening and watching. And we'll be back next time.